Welcome to another episode of the Finding Serenity in the Midst of Chaos podcast. Today, we are talking about how to find time for self-care as a busy mom. Well, this episode is for you if you're a busy woman feeling like living life on repeat, if you're feeling drained, stressed, and disconnected, and you've lost your way with happy habits. Stay tuned because by the end of this podcast, you will have a simple 12-minute morning routine to feel energized and balanced and know how to set a positive tone for your day and feel inspired to start your day with nourishment. So stay tuned. Welcome, Becky. Today's guest, Becky Evans. Hello, welcome.
Hi, Talai. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Wonderful to see you here, Becky. And I'm really curious to talk to you. First of all, though, please can you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and who you help?
Who I am. I, in my professional life, I'm a holistic therapist. I work with busy women every single day. A lot of those times are mums. I'm also a mum of four children myself, so I understand that, chaos that kids can bring. But yeah, I really love inspiring women to live a healthier, happier life.
Oh, amazing. Mom of four. That just kind of blew my mind because when I had my second child, I was like, how does people deal with more than two? This is so hard. And
Oh, we're
you just went and said four. So that's a whole new level of chaos, as you can say. So how do you manage all of that, Becky? Tell us as a mom of four.
Yeah, well, see, I kind of see it like, people see the top of the iceberg, this radiant energy and balanced lifestyle or positive mindset. But what lies beneath the surface is that foundation that, helps people sustain those results. And for me, it's
Mm,
about consistent, healthy habits that I have built over time.
yeah.
I don't claim to have it all, but having those small habits for me that are easy to integrate have really led to big shifts over time. So I see that as the foundation, and people see the calm balance floating on the
Yeah.
top, but underneath there's that daily effort and daily mindfulness and movement and nourishing nutrition as well.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said that because, as especially moms or ambitious women, career women, we expect everything to be perfect, everything to be running like a clock. We said it at the intro, living life on repeat. But then when
Yeah.
one thing goes wrong, everything just, cause catastrophe, the world sky is falling, all of this sort of stuff. And we want everything to run in a good way. But then it doesn't have to be that complicated. You get simple little habits that you can build into your day. The people that I work with often, they say, I don't have the time. Well, actually, we always have time for what's important to us. It's just a matter of, it's
Exactly.
not a matter of time, it's a matter of priority. And unfortunately, if you don't look after yourself enough, then it will become your priority. So before even it gets to that level, how do we build those little habits from bottom up, if you like?
Well, for me, I have built this very simple 12-minute routine that I have in the morning. So from the moment I wake up, my 12 minutes basically starts. And it's not, a super timed effort, but the three things that are important to me are my gratitude practice. So that's
Mm,
1 minute. I have 1 minute and I hydrate. So I have like a big glass of water or like a nutritional greens or berry flavored water.
mm,
And then I have 10 minutes of movement. So I put my phone on, I set it for 10 minutes and I just move. And different days look different. Like I'm in my 40s now, so I'm not into high impact stuff. And if you
yeah.
are, then that's great. But for me, it's about moving, and that timer goes and I just do some squats. I call it my kitchen bench workout actually, because I literally stand in my kitchen, I do some squats, I bench press on the kitchen bench, leg raises, just anything I can think of in 10 minutes, just consistent movement. And that's a
Yeah.
really great start for my day because already I have accomplished three things: nourishing my body, movement, and gratitude. And that really has set a great foundation for pretty much my whole day, no matter what life through that
Wow.
way.
Yeah, that is amazing. It's it's interesting that you said that, move your body. People say, I'm gonna go to the gym. Well, after 3, 4 days, what happens? Oh, the car is broken down, it's raining outside, I can't be bothered, it's too much work. You can move your body, you could just go for a walk, you could
Yeah,
get off the bus in the next, the stop before, or you should literally just move your body around your house, as long as we don't become a slave to this thing. And you said about also high intensity,
yeah,
a few years back, I was doing lots of those high intensity exercises myself, and they were great, and I did see results. But then as you get older, it does start to kind of grate on you a little bit, don't they? So I'm finding
yeah.
myself in decreasing my exercise routine from 5 days a week to 3 times a week, and then making up the other 2 days with yoga or other movements or stretching or walking or something like that. And it feels so much more gentle. And it feels like I can stay
That's right.
consistent with that, isn't it? Staying consistent with all of that. That's most important.
Yeah.
So how how did you even come about doing this? What is the story behind this, Becky? Because there's always a background to everything, right?
Um, yeah, it was more just the mindset shift, I guess. Like, I knew gratitude was great, and I know I have to exercise, and I know I have to hydrate. And it just kind of, I don't know, it just came to me one day because my treadmill broke down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't exercise. I can't go for a walk because two of my kids are small and I can't leave them at home. And I'm like, I've got to keep doing something. And I just thought, what do I actually like doing? I don't like turning the TV on to follow someone. I just
Mm,
like to move. And for me, like if I've had a really physical day the day before, that's about 10 minutes of stretching. If I feel like a little bit more intensity, then, I might do some jogging on the spot. But it's just that consistency of 10 minutes of movement for me that has really changed the, energy in my body and physically as well. Like I'm still getting that movement and exercise in that helps. And it
mm.
also helps with your mindset for the day.
Yeah, and it's your body will tell you what it needs for the day. It's just being in tune with it to be able to listen and hear it, isn't it? Yeah. So,
That's
but
right.
what
And
is
I
it?
do, when I
Yeah, sorry.
speak to, sorry, when I speak
Carry
to
on.
women, I'm like, my 10 minutes is an intuitive movement. So
Yeah.
I don't count anything other than the 10 minutes. Like I might do squats, it might be 12, it might be 20. I don't know. I might do 3 sets, I might do 2 sets, but it's just constantly moving. So I feel like my body has actually done something.
Yeah. And what has been some turning points in your life that to inspire you to help other women do this, Becky?
Well, it's always a surprise when I tell people I left home at 17 to join the Royal Australian Navy. So leaving home as a teenager and going out into the big wide world was definitely a turning point. I had two of my children quite young and went through divorce young in life and was a single mom for some time. So
Oh,
experiencing that along with health issues that were quite significant for a young person that really was due to emotional stress really put me on the pathway to holistic health. At
mm,
the time, I was in the corporate world, in the legal industry,
wow.
with a very demanding, high stressful job, um, but soul fucking. I didn't enjoy my time, but it was that stability and security.
Mm,
And one day I just woke up and I'm like, I cannot do this any longer. I had been studying in the holistic industry for a couple of years and just
okay.
all of a sudden I took the plunge after 11 years in that job.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just like this passion that I had that was just sitting there slowly building up like this volcano ready to
Mm,
explode. And I really love what I do now, and it's purpose filled and soulful and rewarding as well. So, yeah, it was probably those few things that really put me on this pathway. And I just love helping people.
yeah. I mean, I can see that it's almost like you were born to do this, it's just your calm energy, and you could just feel it from even from across the screen. And you're in Australia, I'm in the UK. It's a
Yeah,
little far away, but you can still feel your calmness. And you know, it's interesting, isn't it? Those big life events, sometimes actually in the moment, it feels like the worst thing in the to happen, or maybe even, you know, what's the uncertainty? What am I going to do with my life now? All of that. But to come to that decision yourself and know, actually, you know what, this is where I'm going from now. And I've interviewed other guests who has been through very similar journeys as you, of course, different kind of life occasions, but still working in really highly demanding jobs and finally saying, you know what, enough is enough. I can have a better life, live a better life, and help others do the same. That's just incredible. And, you know, my journey is pretty much the same, being in corporate for 20 years almost, and just saying, you know what, this is not for me anymore. I can help others because I've been through so much. That's good. So, how can a
Yeah.
small change make such big transformations? Can you tell us about that?
Well, I think I choose consistency over perfection. It's making those small adjustments that you can stay consistent with so you don't feel overwhelmed. And I believe they accumulate over time. So, just drinking that extra glass of water every day will make a massive change by the end of the week. Doing those 10 minutes of exercise every day will make a massive change over a month. So small things that help shift your mindset, and it also gives you a sense of control or accomplishment, and that really fuels further growth as well.
Mm.
And when you make one change, it often leads to another. So it's like habit stacking. So when you've got your morning routine sorted out, all of a sudden you have this more energy and vibrancy. So you're like, oh, this is amazing. Like, what's next? And you might choose to work on, like, if you need to nourish yourself more, you might choose to work on your lunch meal or your snacks. And then you might have an afternoon routine that you love, or an evening wind down routine. So just that small thing in the morning can impact the rest of your day.
And I guess, as you said, it is about consistency, because when we make a big change, what happens is that our brain resists, because as soon as there's change, it sends you to fight and flight, doesn't it? And when you're fight and flight, you're going to resist anything that's going to come in your way, even if it's a good change. You're going to do
Yeah,
everything in your power to not do that. And because of that, making a small change, your brain doesn't even recognize, oh, it's fine. She's okay. I don't need to protect her from anything. She can just get on and do it. And over time, like you say, because you are staying consistent, I find you start to build that self-esteem and trust in yourself. You know what? I can stay consistent. And you start celebrating your achievements and that sort of small wins, if you like. And again, I encourage anyone who's listening and watching today to make those small changes and notice them and acknowledge them, and perhaps add it to the gratitude practice that Becky has just shared with us. I'm grateful that I've managed to stick to my routine today. I'm grateful that I drank 5, more glasses of water today, or whatever it might be, because then your brain is going to say, oh, she's doing really well. Let's do more of that. You know, that
yeah,
this is how it small builds up. And I think James Clear mentions in his Atomic Habits book about how British cycling team just made small 1% changes in everything. Maybe it's where the saddle is positioned, where how comfortable the saddle was, or something in the bicycle that made the wind come through a little bit more. And those 1% changes in 5 different things all of a sudden made the British cycling team the most successful Olympic cycling team in 5 years running, because of those small changes. So let's not underestimate the small changes that we make. And those little things are so easy to incorporate in your day, isn't it? Like you say, 10 minutes of movement or 1 minute of gratitude. And if anybody says, I don't have the time for that, there's a whole different thing going on underneath that we need to get deeper into, isn't there?
yeah. I have this saying: if you have time for Facebook feed, you have time for a mindful read. And that
Absolutely.
was like
I
a
love that.
transformation for me as well. So it's like putting down my phone at night, which is good for your brain, right? So it
Mm,
stops you getting all that blue light, it stops you getting all that stimulation
yeah.
before bedtime, and picking up a book instead. And I'm like, just read 10 minutes. And then all of a sudden it's like, that's half an hour. And I really got into it. And my goal was to read 25 books that are inspirational or developing myself this year, and easily hitting that just by putting down my phone at night. So
Yeah.
one of those little changes can absolutely change your life.
Yeah.
And
And,
I think also
carry on. Yeah.
when you're less likely to quit or feel frustrated when you
Yeah.
make just small changes. Whereas if you set a goal to run a marathon, you're not going to just run out the door that day. You're going to build up to that, right? So you might
Mm.
start with your first 1K, and then you're doing 2Ks. It's not like instantly out the door running 42 kilometers. So yeah, I just absolutely don't rule out the small things.
Yeah. And interesting, isn't it? Because when you like go on a diet or whatever, um, all of a sudden you change your whole regime and for 2 weeks or whatever. But after that 2 weeks, you go back to where you started because again, that resistance coming from your brain, your body is complete, I can't sustain this. Whereas if you do little small changes, it becomes your lifestyle. It's no longer anything to resist and you can just keep it going, can't you?
That's right. And I talk about that in my Habits for Happiness program is let's just work on your breakfast this week. Like if people need that help with nourishment, I'm like, just work on your breakfast. Eat whatever you want for the rest of the day. Let's start
Mm.
with breakfast, get that right. Once you're happy and you feel like that's a breeze, we'll move on to your lunch and refining that and making sure you have good nutrition there and looking at your snacks. It's just, habit stacking those meals by working on one thing every week or fortnight so you don't feel like your whole life has to change overnight and it just
Yeah.
gets too hard because you think of all these recipes and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
this is your
Yeah.
breakfast for the week. It's healthy, it's nourishing, easy to make, it starts your
Mm.
day.
Yeah, and then you can your self-talk becomes, I can do this. This is easy to do.
Yeah,
It's easy to do
yeah,
anything for a week or whatever. And then because then it starts to make you feel good and much better, then you are more likely to stick with it, aren't you? So that's great. So you mentioned about happy app habits or something in your program. So tell us about how you help and how people can find you, Becky.
Oh, okay. Wasn't really why I came on here. I wanted to help other people with that
Sure, of
12-minute
course.
morning ritual.
Yeah, tell us a
But we
little
go
bit
into
more
more
as
depth
well.
with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, it's getting that in the first week, we work on your morning ritual. So it's understanding what gratitude does for your life, some breath work, like teaching your body to breathe properly, and getting a nourishing breakfast. So that's the framework for the first week.
Okay.
The second week, we work on stress management. So I'm qualified in Reiki and meditation.
Mm.
So I teach people just these simple meditations they can do to help with their nervous system and calm the farm inside their head. As busy
Yeah.
mums, I feel like we have all these internet browsers open in our head, the to-do
Oh,
list, the shopping list, the, make appointments, that sort of thing. So how to help people just cope and calm their nervous system. And in the program as well, I'm a, I love food.
don't
I'm
we
a
all?
food creator. It's one of my hobbies and passions. So I share a lot of how I eat and give plenty of recipes as well to help inspire people with healthier choices. And it's all encompassing for me. It's very holistic. So it's just taking all those areas of your life and making it simple because I get it. I don't have lots of time like other busy women to be sitting and researching and trying to find all the right things. I've just put it into one easy, simple program so that people can just step by step have actions every week that they follow
Mm.
through. They read a paragraph, they listen to the paragraph, and they tick a little thing to say they've done it and they've nailed it, and then move on to the next section.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds amazing. And what I think what was coming up for me is that people think choosing easy things is not for high achieving mums or women or whatever, life has to be hard because that's how we were brought up, but easy isn't doesn't mean lazy. Easy is that's
Yeah,
what, it has to be, isn't it? Because like you say, we have so many things that we are already dealing with and keeping on top of. Why not make one part of our life easy so that everything else can become easy for us? That doesn't make us any bad people. That doesn't take anything away from our worthiness. if anything, it helps us to help more people and help our family more, because which is what we thrive for as well anyway. So I think that's
Yeah,
important, isn't it?
make one day just about you, even if it's just that 12 minutes at the start of the day. That's
Mm,
just for you, and it's not a huge amount of time out of the whole day that
yeah.
you're losing by giving it to yourself and filling
Mm.
your own cup.
It's
But
not
yeah,
about yeah. It's not about losing either, because, if you're not well, then everybody else who depends on us are not going to be
yeah,
well either, isn't
and
it?
I think going back to saying about having to be strong and hard, I really embrace the feminine energy these days. Like, we're the neck that controls the head. If you remember from what movie was it on? It was off a movie. I'm like, it is so true. But don't think that you can't have it all because you are a woman and you have to have this, strong heart masculine energy. Like, embrace that femininity, because being a woman is amazing as well.
Yeah.
We bring different things to the table, and I think that's the way life should be.
Yeah, we just embrace being who we are and bring that energy, as opposed to just adding any other things that we've been, built upon to be expected of us and all of that sort of stuff. So it's a lot nicer and a lot easier, as we have been
Yeah.
realizing here, to be ourselves than having to put up this persona that will be built up over our lifetime because of all the societal things, that pressures that we were put under. But so that's great. So where can they find, our audience can find you, Becky?
They can just find me on my website, www.beckyevans.com.au, or on Facebook and Instagram. It's Becky Evans is my pages.
Sure,
So
we will put
yeah,
all of that on the show
I
notes.
share.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to share a lot of inspiring things, little snippets, nothing long because we don't have time for that. And my teenager keeps reminding me, keep your stuff short, mum. People don't have time
Yeah,
to watch that long stuff these days. So
I know.
yes, I'm lucky I have teenagers to assist me in
Oh,
social
that's
media.
nice. That's nice. Wow. I was going to say you don't look old enough to have teenage children, but you did say you had them quite early. I was thinking, wow, that's amazing. Well,
Yeah,
Vicky, thank you for being our guest today. It was lovely to chat to you.
thank you so much. It was a joy to speak with you.
Thank you, Becky. Well, thank you for our listeners and watchers to tuning into another episode of the Finding Serenity in the Midst of Chaos podcast. If you love this episode, please make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss another episode like this. And again, if you love this episode as much as we did, please do share with someone who might benefit from this. And we will see you in another episode next week. Thank you.